Welcome back to the Five Friday feedback. Welcome back to the podcast, boys. Welcome back. Hope you've had a great week. Chris, what are we doing this week?
Yeah, well, this week we're going to be recapping Monday's earlier episodes. So, for those of you who don't join us for Five Friday feedback that often, this is a recap or a companion episode that's supposed to go with Monday's episode, titled something to the effects of how to stop letting money ruin your life. So, please go back and listen. Procrastination.
Yeah. I mean, overall, the theme is money, not ruining your life. But yeah, same.
Yeah. Same thing. Today we're going to be recapping that, kind of talking over whatever you found most important, Dominic. I mean, honestly, Five Friday feedback is for you to ask me more questions, kind of go deeper into it, and then for me just to talk about philosophy and money and whatever the hell else I feel like. Maybe Star Wars.
I was hoping Star Wars would be in there. I'm looking for my Obi-Wan. Anyway, uh, yeah. So last week we talked about a book in particular,
Mm-hmm.
Procrastinating on Purpose, or with purpose, or on purpose.
On purpose.
On purpose, okay. I was like, it could go both ways, with purpose, on purpose. And it kind of shifts the conversation on how procrastination is viewed and how it's really dealt with, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about the defining it and eliminating and automating and delegating, all that fun stuff, in order to get stuff actually done. Like we talked about last podcast, you can run in place all day, doesn't mean you're going to get anywhere. You can be busy all day, doesn't mean you got anything done. Doesn't mean you move the needle even a little bit, unfortunately. But it was a good podcast, a good book. You recommend the book for, I would assume, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're someone who's like me who just procrastinates way too often and sometimes is looking for permission to continue to procrastinate. But also, I think the biggest thing about it is not giving you permission to procrastinate. It's giving you permission to look at the things that you have to do every day and ask that question. Is this really something that needs to be done? Can I automate it? Can I get rid of it? If I need to get it done, if it meets all those three criteria, does it need to get done right now? Is it really the most important thing? And I think the biggest thing I took from the book was if you say like, oh, these are my priorities, well, then you really don't have a priority. You need to figure out what's the most important thing to you. Because if you have 10 priorities, then you really have no priorities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about it from maybe a general's perspective, say like World War II, right? It's like, what was our priority? We didn't have 10 priorities. We had one priority, and that was win the war. It wasn't, win the war and XYZ. It wasn't, do it in this time frame. It's like, no, we just got to win. That's all. And I think having just one priority and focusing on that and everything else, recognizing that everything else is sometimes just busy work,
Mm-hmm.
so that you feel accomplished, so that you feel like you did something with your day. There's nothing wrong with getting one thing done in a day, as long as the one thing done was like super important, If I was like, yo, Chris, I had a great day today. It's like, oh, what'd you do? It's like, man, I swept the heck out of them floors today at the house. It's like, Dom, your house is not that big. What are we doing all day? It's like, I don't know, I feel accomplished. It's like, no, I would never say that. Sweeping the floor is not a great accomplishment. No, it's something, but it's not everything, right? So definitely like eliminating certain tasks and recognizing which ones are the most important tasks and starting with your why, obviously, and reverse engineering to see what's actually going to get you to your final destination.
Yeah. I think it's important, right? You always have to sit there and and really look at saying, what's the most important thing to me right now? And sometimes you might look at it and say, the most important thing to me right now is to sweep the floors. Like, I know for me, and we talked about minimalism a few times on this podcast, but I don't like dirtiness. And honestly, my time value of money, it probably makes more sense for me to just hire someone to come in here and clean the house and do all that for me. But from my standpoint, I value being able to go and do that myself. And while I'm doing it, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm trying to maximize my time while doing it. And I find it to be like a good thing for me just to be able to do every single day. But that doesn't mean, but you know what I don't like doing? I don't like washing my car. I hate washing my car. So I pay someone $150 a month to come and professionally wash my car. And then at that time, I'll say the time value of me being able to work on the podcast or do something that's better for me is totally worth it.
Absolutely. That guy's got a good gig going. Washing the car for 150. Let's go. I backed the car up yesterday. Sprayed it with water, straight tap water. It's like no soap. I'm like, looks good.
That's going to make
Looking.
the situation worse.
Hey, it looks spiffy. You didn't see the before, man. You didn't see the before. It was dirty, but it's good now. It's good now. Big
Mine's
shout
pretty
out
dirty.
to
It just sat at the airport for the past week, so it's you know how it gets.
yeah. Mine sleeps in the garage for 98% of its life. So
As does mine.
yeah, it doesn't see the light of day very often. Okay. So just talking about our cars at this point. So talking more about the book, you know, let's continue to reiterate what we learned in Monday's pod. Right? Do you want to go over some of the few points?
Yeah, I think the first thing I want to talk about when we get to, before even getting into the book, because the book is more about giving you permission over the 5 ways of looking at procrastinating on what's the most important thing, or figuring out what the most important thing is, and then procrastinating on whatever isn't the most important thing. But before we get into that, I think we should talk about why do we all procrastinate, and what are the 3 types of procrastination that people fall into? Which ones are the worst? Which ones are the best? And of course, they're all bad. Like, you don't want to be procrastinating at all, but there are some that are better than others and easier to overcome. So the first type of procrastination is your classical procrastination. You know, we just call this conscious procrastination. You know you have a homework assignment due, you know you have some project due, and you're literally looking for anything else to do besides that one thing because you don't want to do it for whatever reason that might be. And you know, a lot of people, when you look at that, you'll say like, oh, well, it just comes down to willpower. You just need to have more willpower. You need to have more whatever it is to get it done. What I think what it is if it's not important to you, then you're going to be able to procrastinate it on indefinitely.
Yeah.
But if it's important to you, you're going to want to get it done. Right?
Yeah, because I'm hungry all the time, right? It's not something I like to procrastinate. Sometimes I will. And then I get hangry. And then I'm like, I can either die or I can eat. I think I should go eat. And then I end up making something simple, right? So I want it bad enough. I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of want it bad enough, guys.
You got to want it bad enough. And the good thing about like classical procrastination, or not that it's a really good thing, but you're conscious of it. You know that you're procrastinating. You know that it's an issue. And therefore, if you know it's an issue, you know you can fix it just by either giving it more willpower, making it more important in your life, by giving yourself a deadline to get it done. Whatever one. There's so many different ways we can talk about overcoming that first procrastination. The next procrastination is a little bit worse because it's unconscious. So I would just call it what it is, unconscious procrastination. And what it really is creative avoidance, in that you know what you have a task to do. Maybe you have to shoot a YouTube video or create a podcast. And rather than going and turning on the camera or doing the research on what you're going to do your video on, you decide, okay, in order for me to figure out what the best thing is, I probably need to watch like 20 hours of YouTube to figure out what a good thing is. I need to do a bunch of keyword research. I need to figure out what my title is, my thumbnail. How am I going to monetize all this? Are all those things important? Yes, those are all very important things. But what's the most important thing is sitting down and shooting the video.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part of the whole thing, is doing that. After that, figuring out the editing, you know, what thumbnail you're going to use, what transitions you're going to use, all that stuff. Those are all just little things compared to actually sitting down and shooting the video and working your thoughts into how am I going to flow this video so that it makes sense to the viewer? What story, what narratives can I use? Mm-hmm. All that is far more important than what audio you're going to use.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying you're advocating more for doing, less for dilly-dallying, basically.
Yeah, and this is where it gets kind of difficult, right? Is there's a lot of people who will look at the end of their day and they'll complain all the time. Oh, I have so much stuff to do. I have so much stuff to do. I have 36 tasks or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. At some point, if you're really that busy, you stop complaining about what you have to do. You just start getting stuff done.
Yeah.
But you also need to look at it and say, you know, what things can I just get rid of entirely? How many of the tasks that I'm getting done every day are me just doing busy work to feel better about it? Because we're all the same. We're all the same person. We all get a like serotonin boost when we check something off. I know people who will have an empty list of things they have to get done that day. And then as they go through and do something, so like make the bed, then they'll go and write, make the bed and check it off just to feel like they like accomplished something.
I've done that in the past.
You know,
I don't do it anymore because it's just like it's an everyday thing now. Mm-hmm. But I'm not gonna lie, I did used to do that.
And that's okay. I mean,
to establish the habit, you know.
Mm-hmm. To establish the habit, and that's totally fine. But how many of us are we going around doing little things that really aren't that important to move the needle, just to make us feel better and feel like we did something? I can think of many people, you know, I do coaching for financial advisors too. And there's so many advisors that at the end of the day, I ask, well, what are you doing to grow your business? And they'll go on about all this, quite frankly, bullshit of just different things they're doing, but none of it's actually moving the needle. None of it's bringing clients in the door. None of it's working on themselves, on learning, on trying to become a better financial advisor. It's all like, oh, I sent out 60 LinkedIn things and like, okay, what's your results from that? Oh, I haven't heard anything back. Okay, well then what can we do to change it or figure out something better?
Yeah.
You know?
We've all been there. And I think what's interesting to see is like everybody's flawed. We're all flawed. There's no one perfect. There's not anybody here that's gonna be like, yeah, dude. When 9 a.m. hits, I'm freaking game on. 5 p.m. hits, I'm clocked out. Like, no, it's like everybody is flawed in their own little way. I'm flawed, Chris is flawed, the viewer's flawed, everybody's flawed. And that's okay. That's what makes us human. And there's nothing wrong with being flawed, right? If we weren't flawed, we'd be God. But anyway, that's a different conversation. Anyway, yeah, no, I think it's interesting because you think of like people who are in service, like financial advisors and whatnot, and you expect them to be like, oh, they're on their game, right? But it's like, oh no, they're just humans, just like us. They're just regular people, just like us. Um, it's both comforting and scary at the same time, you know. It's like, oh shoot, you're saying my heart surgeon is the same way too?
Yep.
Like,
that no one's perfect, that we all struggle with these exact same things.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's okay. Like that's totally cool. But the hard thing when it comes to creative avoidance is that you're unconsciously filling your day with like medial work or trivial work just to feel like you're doing something worthwhile. But at the end of the day, we talked about this on Monday's podcast. You said like, well, Chris, there's sometimes where I have 11 things to do. And while number one might be the biggest thing, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to knock out the other 10 things. And I asked you the question, well, what is it better to do? To knock out the one big thing that might take all day.
The important
and
one.
the really important one that you know, like this, if I got this done, it's going to make this day, it's going to it's going to lead me towards my interim goal. Or is it better to do 10 small tasks and then either phone it in for that last 11th task, the more really important one, and not do your best work or not get it done at all. And then the next day, you're going to have another set of tasks that you have to do. You're just going to be able to keep on pushing or kick this can down the road, but eventually it's going to come to roost. You're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just stress. That's just stress, boys. Like, the more you procrastinate, the more you're just going to get stressed out by not doing it. So it's better. My mom always had this quote, and I hated it growing up. But now that I'm older, I still hate it. But I'm like, damn, she's right. But it's basically see the job, do the job, avoid the misery. And I'm like, damn. Wait. How you know I was procrastinating? How you know that? And it's spot on though. You know, you see the job, do the job, avoid the misery. I mean, a lot of our stress in life, especially financial stress, since it's a financial podcast, you know, comes from not looking at things, not being on top of the ball. You know, you don't want to check your credit card statement because you're worried, you know, you don't know what it could be. It's like, if you check it, you might be less stressed out. And if you check it and you're still stressed out, well, at least we know where we're at and we can go from there.
Yeah, at least we know what the truth is. We can start to figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, I think it's tough, right? It's all tough. And unfortunately, it's scarier in our brain than it actually is in reality. I mean, how many times have we pushed off doing an assignment, doing whatever it is for work? You push it off until the last day that it's due. And now we're stressed and we're like freaking out that it has to get done because we're on a time crunch.
Yep.
And we finally get it done and we're like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No.
Like,
no.
How often do you finally, like, I know for us as YouTube, as people who are on YouTube and on Spotify, well, I will be like, hey, Dominic, have you done the video editing? Oh, no, I haven't done that yet. Then finally you get it done. And it's like, hey, Dominic, how was it? Oh, it was easy. I enjoyed it. It was so much fun. Like, I really enjoyed being creative. It's like, then why'd you avoid it for 2 weeks?
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh man, like we'll be doing, like we post the 5 Friday feedback, like the viewer mailbag ones. And sometimes I just won't do it, right? And so it'll be like, I'll get caught up and I'll be doing other things and be like, it takes 5 minutes. It does not take a long time. You know, I just got to go to the podcast and pick out where it was and just like, it does not take a long time. But like psychologically, I'm like, I've built it in my mind where it's like, okay, so you're telling me I gotta sit down, I gotta turn a computer on, I gotta do all these things. And I'm like, Sounds like a big task. So I think
Yep.
also it's a little bit of rewiring our brain to be like downplaying things too. It's like, yeah, no, it's a small thing. At the podcast, nothing.
Yeah,
Deal.
easy.
Easy. Easy.
Easy.
Even
Get it
if
done.
even even if it's gonna kick your butt. Sometimes it
Yep.
does.
Sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. You can always come back to it later. But if you keep on putting those things off, you can't come back to it later because
No.
now it's like it's crunch time. I have to get it done right now.
Yeah.
And there's two ways that people procrastinate, either conscious or unconscious. The other one is it's pretty fascinating because it's called priority delusion, and this typically happens not for people who are your conscious or unconscious procrastinators. These are people that are often they'd be looked at as like hard workers. People don't look at these people and they're like, oh, these people are lazy, they're easily distracted. But because of how good they are at their work, they continue to get more and more things thrown on there, more important things. And then other people start reporting to them. And then by the end of it, they're falling victims to whatever is the latest or the loudest noise. And they're trying to figure out like what's the most important thing to do. And this one's difficult because it's both unconscious and conscious, in that you're saying like, oh, there's so much stuff to do and all of it's important. And then this is where the book really helps out, is to figure out what is the most important thing. Because you can't have 50 priorities. You have priority number one, and then you have priority number two, priority number three, priority number four. But if you have 50 priorities, all number one, you have no priorities.
No. That you have to start delegating at that point or eliminating.
Mm-hmm.
Or automating. Like we talked about in the book. It's either eliminate it, we either automate it, or you delegate it, or you run it through the system again, right?
Yep.
And do it later. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the difficult part. So many people, we've been lied to our whole life saying there's only 24 hours in the day, you can't make more time. And that's true. We only have 24 hours. I don't know of a way to make 25 hours or 26 hours. But there are other people in the world who are time multipliers who can look at tasks and say, what can I do to either automate this task, eliminate this task, or delegate this task and free up more time in the future? I use this example. I know it's a really silly example from a financial planning standpoint, but setting up automated payments for your credit cards. If you were looking at your list of everything you need to get done today, Dom, and it's like 10, 20 things long, and I say, Dominic, the most important thing you can do today is set up automatic payments for your credit cards. You're going to look at me and be like, Chris, you're freaking crazy. Like, I have to do these video edits. I have to record all these things. There's no way I'm going to spend 10 minutes or 20 minutes setting up automatic bill pay for my bank account for this credit card. But I would say,
and in actuality, it's not even like, Chris, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It's more like, Chris, I'm not going to spend an unknown amount of time on it, which in my mind could be, like you said, 10 minutes, or could be an hour. I don't know, because I've never done it. So it's like, I don't have time for that. And then you do it. It's like, oh, it's so much faster. And
yeah,
now I don't have to worry about it ever again.
Yep. And let's say you do it. Let's say it takes you have 3 different credit cards over 3 different banks. So if you go to each one of them, it takes each one of them 5 minutes. So it takes you 15 minutes to get this done. Big expense out of your time. But every month you've been having to go in there manually, and you have this mental anguish of thinking, oh man, I hope I don't forget about my credit card. I hope this doesn't happen. You just eliminated that. Now, every month going forward, where you would spend 5 minutes paying off all 3 credit cards, you don't have to think about that anymore. After 3 months of time, you have made back your 15 minutes of time that you had to put up front. And now every month afterwards, you get an additional 5 minutes in your pocket that you get to add in. That's 5 minutes out of that 24 hours that you have. Now, I understand that's just one little thing, but if you look at that and you say, every single task that I have, and this is where the book really comes in, can I eliminate it? If I can't eliminate that thing, then that means I have to move it to the next thing. Can I automate it? If I can't automate that task, can I delegate it to somebody else? And if you can't delegate it, then you have a choice. I have to do it. And do I do it right now? Is this the number one priority? Or do I procrastinate on purpose and put it back at the top of the funnel and say, I'll do this later because there's something that's more important, and I'm going to run whatever that more important thing is through the funnel to see, is it a do? Is it a do right now or is it a do later? Because we only have so much time in the day, and you have to choose what's the most important thing to you.
Absolutely. And choosing the most important thing to you, right, for a task of the day or maybe even the week, right? That has to go along with what your why is, what your end goal is, right? And you talked about a lot in the first episode, the Mondays pod, about finding out what's important to you. You have what's important to you is your friends, your family, your fitness, those things, right? Your business, helping people. And for a lot of people, they don't really understand, they don't know themselves enough to make those decisions, right? They don't know themselves enough to what their why is. You walk around town and be like, hey, like, why are, why are you living, right? Like, what's your purpose? And people have no idea.
Hmm.
And I think it takes a lot for a person to discover themselves. Sometimes it takes pain, sometimes it takes happiness, sometimes it takes a journey, right? But it all starts with oneself, right? And in order to stop procrastinating, I believe you have to have a strong why on like if you said Chris, if you said Dom, um, I need XYZ tasks to be done, and I'm just like, yeah, no problem, no problem. I do them, whatever. But as time goes on, it's like, yo, Chris, what? Why are we doing this? What's the end goal here? And he's just like, no end goal, just
We're just doing
because,
stuff to do it.
just doing stuff. Just wanted to hang out. I'm like, Chris, we can hang out. Just let me know. like we don't have to just be doing meaningless tasks, right? And you know, it ties back into where it's like we don't want to do those things because obviously there's no point to it, right? I don't want to do tasks that have no point, that doesn't really move the needle or benefit my life in any way. It's like I wouldn't come into my office and stack papers and then throw them on the wall again just so I can stack them again. It's like it's probably lunacy. I should probably be locked up for something like that. And but if I come in here and I stack my papers because I want a clean desk, because I know that when my environment's clean, my mind is clean. My mind is clean, I can operate at a higher efficiency when we're recording the podcast, when we're doing video stuff. And starting with the why is the most important thing. So, like we talked about, is know thyself, Sun Tzu, and just reflect on what your purpose is, what your intentions are, what's the end game, what's your life going to look like when you finish these tasks, right? Say
Hmm.
you have credit card debt, you don't really know how much that you have, but your wife just got done with a massive Target run, and let's be honest, you went to Bass Pro Shop yourself, blew a little cheddar cheese, and you're too scared to see the credit card balance. Well, what's life going to look like after you check the credit card balance? Well, you're either not going to be stressed or you're going to be in the same position you already are in, which is stressed. So
Hmm.
might as well just check it, because at least there you have a chance of not being stressed, right? And
Yep.
once you find out the information and stop procrastinating, well, then you can go from that place. You can't go anywhere if you're sitting in nowhere. You know what I mean? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I think the thing that's really difficult with it is I think a lot of people we look at procrastination as if it's willpower, and it just comes down to like being willpower, just trying harder, doing better.
Yeah.
Um, but what I find, and it's kind of funny because it's everything. It's your emotions play so much role into it. Typically, when people are procrastinating, it's fear. They're afraid of something, and they don't even know what that fear is. Maybe they're afraid of the truth when it comes to like looking at your credit card statement. They're afraid of the truth. And I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, you just need to have more willpower. You need to try hard. You need to do whatever. But until we can overcome that fear, whatever that thing is that's holding you back, nothing's ever going to work. And I've talked about that as a financial advisor and a financial planner, that I could give you the perfect financial plan. We can go through all of these things, but if you're not going to implement it, if you're going to procrastinate on getting it done, then you just wasted my time and your money in order to get something done that you were never going to do. So that's the reason that my business is Mons on Wealth, and here on the podcast we focus so much on your money mindset and focused on trying to figure out what's going on in your head. Because if we don't figure that out first, all the spreadsheets, all of the logical arguments are never going to do anything, because your emotions are working on a different level than logic can speak to.
It's true. That's very true. That's an interesting point. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Interesting. So we have a diagram. I don't think we're gonna pull it up this time. Unless you
Yeah, I
did
don't
want
think
to
I
pull
have
it.
it.
You don't.
I already deleted. I don't have it anymore.
You're good. You're good. So it basically talked about what we were talking about right there, right? So at the top
Yeah.
of it, it was eliminate, right? You're gonna want to eliminate stuff that is not gonna move the needle, right? You're gonna want to next automate. See if you can automate it. See if you can, like Chris said, he likes to clean his house, right? But he doesn't like to clean his car, so he automated that, so he doesn't have to do that, right? The next one is delegate, right? Maybe you have someone in your circle who can help you, or you can hire someone, right? Since we're talking about finance, if you're not good with money, maybe it's financial advisor or something like that. And then the next one, obviously, is either do it or push it on later and, get it back into the filter, the great filter,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say. Um, oh, there it is. There's the diagram. We love a good diagram over here.
Yeah, but we get
Um,
to run it through every day, right? So say you have those
mhm.
10 tasks like we talked about earlier. You get to take each one of those tasks and run it through this funnel.
Yeah.
So maybe let's do an example for us from in finance terms. So maybe we say, oh, there's a lot of stuff we have to do when it comes to my finances. I need to create a budget. I need an emergency plan. I need to start saving for my house. I need to start doing all these things. So the first thing you can do is I need to save money for my down payment for a down payment on a house.
Yeah.
So that's the task. We'll take that to the task and we'll say, can I eliminate it? Is this something that I can live without? Well, that could be a personal choice. Maybe I don't have to purchase a house. Maybe I can rent. There's a bunch of different options there. But maybe you say, no, I need a house for whatever reason. Okay, personal finance is personal. Can I automate saving money for my house? Well, you should automate parts of it, but at some point you're going to have to figure it out. So can I delegate saving for my house? Is there someone else that can do this? No, you can't delegate saving for your own house. It's yours. So now it's due. Do I concentrate right now on setting up a financial plan that I'm saving money for the house, or should I procrastinate on this later? And maybe we have a bunch of other things in our thing. Maybe we don't even have an emergency fund. So should we right now start concentrating on saving up the house money, or should we focus on the emergency fund? We're going to run now. Now we're going to go back and say, okay, I can procrastinate on saving this money for the house till later. And now I'm going to focus on building up my emergency fund. The task is now the emergency fund. Can I eliminate it? No. Can I automate it? No. Can I delegate it? No. Should I do it right now or do it later? Well, how much money do I have coming in? How much money do I have going out? I don't know that. Maybe I should procrastinate on the emergency fund and figure that out first. We run through these over and over and over again till we figure out what the most important thing is, and we get that done. Once we finally get to the end where we say, we need to concentrate on this 100%, this is my number one priority, and I will work on this until it is done, or at least done enough to move on to the next priority. That's what we need to do.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I love that diagram. That's a good one. That's a
Mm-hmm.
really good one. Um, any other points you want to make on the book or on Monday's pod?
Um, no, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to fear. And I think that's the hardest thing and the weirdest thing to talk about is that at the end of the day, we all avoid things because we don't want to do it because we're afraid of it. And that fear is just like it's manifesting in a bunch of different ways. So the only way to really overcome that is to stare fear in the face and, basically punch perfection in the face and just get started. So many people think like, oh, I can't get started until I have this perfect plan in place or whatever. But you're going to find the plan on the journey. I think the biggest thing is coming to the conclusion that everything is figure outable. I might not have the perfect plan right now, but I can figure it out when I get there. But I do need to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what, guys? Speaking from experience, and I know Chris can 100% probably testify to this as well. You could have the perfect plan, but as soon as, you hit the pavement, that plan usually goes out the window.
Yep.
It changes so it has to change so fast because looking in on a problem is not the same as being in the problem and working on the problem and finding a solution, right? It's just not the same. So it's better just to start, see the job, do the job, and avoid the misery, right?
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
And that's the way I work with a lot of my clients, right? Is I think a lot of people, they come to a financial advisor, or even let's just take this to like a realm of fitness, because I think fitness is a perfect
We
analogy.
love fitness, yeah.
So many people, they'll go in and they'll meet with a personal trainer and they'll go to the personal trainer. I just need the perfect plan when it comes to how am I going to get fit?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? And then the personal trainer might give you that perfect plan. You're going to walk into the gym. You're going to go to this thing. You're going to do this many reps, this many sets. Then you're going to go here. Then you go there. You go there. And they teach this person that they never teach them how to fish. They teach them the perfect plan though. Here's the perfect plan. And then what happens? You have this plan made by this financial coach or whatever. or not by this fitness coach,
Hmm.
but you walk into the gym and the first thing it says is go and do bench press. Well, guess what? There's 8 people on the bench press and there's a long line. And now you don't know the principles of, oh, it's not the bench press per se. It's doing the chest. I can go do flies. I can go do dumbbells. There's so many different things. And that's what I try to teach people with financial planning. I can do the perfect financial plan, but if I don't teach you the skills or teach you all the habits and the more important things of how to think through these problems on your own, the moment you come up to your first roadblock, you're going to just say like, oh, this plan is done. That's what most people do when it comes to their fitness journey. They'll walk in and be like, oh, I needed to do 15 minutes on cardio before I did anything, but all of the bikes are full. So I guess I might as well go home.
Yeah, right. It's like, no, there's more than one ways to get to the end goal.
Yep.
And I think that's what's important to realize about not just fitness or finance, but everything in life, right? There's no one path. There's no one blueprint, right?
Nope.
We can get there in a million different ways. We just got to pick a path and go. Start.
Yeah, you just got to start. And if something's holding you back, maybe, and I know like it's kind of like woo woo, but like if you're getting held back for something about taking control of your finances, maybe it's time for you to go to therapy and like figure out what's that roadblock that's holding you back. I do that with my clients. We do financial therapy sessions, and I get paid a good amount of money for clients to come to me and just go through like a financial coaching. And we'll just kind of go through and figure out what's going on. What are the roadblocks? And I found people, they're able to just out of one session, maybe, usually like 4 to 5, 6 sessions with me, they're able to finally overcome whatever those roadblocks are because we're able to kind of delve down deeper and deeper and deeper into deeper levels because you'll give yourself a break. You'll avoid that entirely, what's going on. But if there's someone like me there asking you questions and delving deeper, we can usually uncover what the issue is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Sometimes
once
it
you
just
have,
takes an objective third party, honestly.
yep.
Sometimes it really does.
And then the crazy thing is once you have that uncovered, like what the holdback is, what's holding you back from it, at least that way when you're going forward, you're going to try to enact what it is, enact the budget, enact the financial plan, and that reaches it like raises its head again, and you say like, uh-oh, here comes that feeling. You at least know the reason that it's here.
Yeah.
And now you can be like, I'm going to move past it because this is just something that my parents taught me that isn't serving me anymore or whatever. But if you don't know what it is and you just have this like trepidation or fear of looking at your credit card statement, you're never going to look at it until someone tells you like it's going to be okay. Or this is old me trying to protect me or something that my parents taught me trying to protect me from fear. But the only way to move forward is to punch fear in the face and figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think, do you have any other points on that before we get on to viewer mailbag? No?
Nice. So we get on to 5 Friday feedback.
5 Friday feedback, viewer mailbag. All right. It's that time of the week, boys. It's that time of the week. My parents racked up $15,000 of debt in my name.
Oh, shit.
Here we go. Help. My parents opened up several credit cards in my name while I was away at college. They racked up more than $15,000 in debt, and now they want to kick me out because I brought it up. That is the headline for today's letter. My goodness, let's get into it. Howdy, Fi guys. Howdy. Hope you're doing well. I've been an avid listener of the podcast for a while now, and I've learned a lot about financial independence and responsibility from your episodes. Good to hear. But now I find myself in a bit of a situation where I desperately need your advice.
Desperately need our advice. Well, shit. Desperately. Okay.
All right. Here's the deal. I just finished my freshman year of college and returned home for the summer.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. Upon checking my mail one day, I discovered a letter from a collection agency addressed to me, claiming that I owe nearly $5,000 on a Capital One card that I never even knew existed. Naturally, I was shocked, right? Confused. After confronting my parents about it, I learned the harsh truth that they had opened up multiple credit cards in my own name while I was away at college. Racking up a staggering $15,000 of debt for the household expenses without my knowledge, and let it be known, without my consent.
Oh, these parents. So the parents opened up multiple credit cards at least probably 3. If one of them had
Yeah,
$5,000, they, oh boy. All right. Well, these parents suck.
they're not great.
Let's hear what else they did.
It's gonna be a rocky Thanksgiving. It's gonna be a rough Christmas. Alrighty, when I expressed my concerns, they suggested I file for bankruptcy.
What pieces of shit.
This is not Monopoly. It's not as easy, right?
Yeah, just do a redo. It's just
yeah.
a redo. It's easy.
Just Control and delete. Dismissing the serious implications it could have on my future job prospects, especially knowing my interest in government-related positions. Making a presidential run. I see you. I see you. Now that they've given me an ultimatum, they're giving you an ultimatum? The audacity.
I know, right?
The audacity. Either declare bankruptcy, crappy option number 1, or, and it gets worse, or move out by the end of the month.
Crappy option number 2. Wow, these parents suck.
Dude, they're bad.
Could you imagine, like, you do something to screw your kid over, you get caught, and then your way of getting through getting caught is being like, this is your fault. And like,
It's your fault. How could you let us do that? Like, I mean, they're not even blaming her. They're just like, you know, you could get us out of this. Just file for bankruptcy. Just do it. Don't be a coward. Just do it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna continue on. Jesus. It feels incredibly unfair and overwhelming. Makes sense. Especially knowing that bankruptcy won't necessarily solve the problem and could hinder my chance at pursuing my future career.
it sounds like she listened to episode 32 all about bankruptcy that we did here on the Fi Guys.
Exactly.
Good for her.
Yeah. If you don't know, now you know. Episode
Now you
32,
know.
bankruptcy. Highly rated.
Highly rated.
Interesting. Yeah, bankruptcy is not, fun fact, guys, if you didn't listen to the podcast, bankruptcy is expensive. For it being a strategy when you don't have any money, you have to pay to be bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scenario where you could be so poor, so broke, so out of cash that you're too poor to file bankruptcy.
Yep.
You want to talk about sadness. I mean, it sucks when you can't buy chicken nuggets, right? But being too poor to not be able to file for bankruptcy, that's a different breed. Anyway, I'm at a loss for what I should do next. How can I rebuild my credit? Which previously was around 720 credit score. That's pretty good.
Nice. Well, still in college, it's good.
Yeah,
And
that's really good.
I'm sure she didn't get any help from her parents' credit scores. I'm sure her parents' credit scores were already in the trash if her parents are running up credit card debt in her name. That means that they probably already had enough debt or already maxed out. I don't know. That's effed.
I wish they would have told what the 15K was spent on. Because not to be devil's advocate, there could be a case to be made, or it's like, but daughter, your father needed a heart transplant and it cost $15,000 out of pocket. We had no choice. Obviously, communication would have been nice, and not committing a straight up felony. We didn't even talk about that aspect of it. Yeah, let me continue. Any advice and insights you can offer would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for considering my situation. No problem. From college dreams to credit card schemes, my parents are pushing me into financial extremes.
Oh boy, that sucks.
Is a doozy.
And to be fair, she did put in here that they racked up $15,000 of debt in household expenses.
Yeah.
So that's not mom or dad needed a heart transplant.
What do you
That's
think?
probably
What are you spending 15 bands on in the house? Honestly. I mean, she's gone for how long is college? Like 7 months, something like that. It's a long time.
Yeah, 9 months. Yeah, she's gone.
I mean, you can. You can
definitely rack up.
Yeah, you can run it up easily.
You can easily do that.
Damn.
You could do that on one vacation, dude. Like, if they really wanted to, they could take out 5 credit cards or 3 credit cards in her name and go on a $15,000 vacation to Bermuda or whatever. Like, easy to do.
A solid week. Wouldn't be bad. But very illegal, correct?
Very illegal. Yeah.
Very
so
illegal.
the first thing I would do if I was this is hers. First, I'd give her a hug. It'd be like, this sucks. Your parents suck. I'm really sorry that this happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you've really taken it on the chin here, and like you've worked hard. It sounds like you have a really good credit score, 720, or you had a good credit score at least, and you had some thoughts of going into the government. So you're trying to like figure out like, what can I do to stay above this? Because the good thing is that she knew that if I declare bankruptcy or if my finances are really, really bad, then there are going to be government jobs that could get closed. Those doors could be closed to you. They unfortunately, the importance of like your credit score and your credit history, it can affect you in more ways than just what loan you get on your house or what
Mm-hmm.
loan you get on your car. So I think that's something important to think about. So first thing I would do is I would freeze my credit. So I'm not sure that most people know this, but you can actually contact all three of the major bureaus, that'd be Equifax, Experience, and TransUnion, and request a credit freeze. So that means that in order for anyone to open up a credit card in your name, go any line of credit, they need to contact the credit bureaus and tell them to unfreeze it. And there are even credit cards now, or like there are services, I think you have to pay like $5 a month or something like that, that could do it automatically, where you can have a master password. You can go in there and turn it off and turn it back on. And like worst case scenario is you forget that you have it, you turn it on, you freeze all of your credit history, and then you go and you apply for a credit card and you find out you get automatically denied. Oh, I forgot that I needed to turn that off. You call up the bank, so you turn it off, or you pay for the service that they can do it for you automatic.
That's wild.
So
So what you're saying is I could get I could just boost my credit score like crazy high, like get it to like 840, 830, and be like, yo, freeze that up. I want to save that. I'm gonna save that rate for when I buy a house, or that's not how that works.
No, you're freezing the ability to pull credit.
Oh.
You're freezing the ability for someone to go inside there and and do a hard credit pull on you, to even open yourself up to another line of credit.
Oh, I see. So it's more of a defensive play.
It's a defensive play.
Gotcha.
No, it doesn't lock it in, because like you could be up like a 800. You can be like, all right, I want to freeze everything. But if you don't make your credit card payments, it's still going to go down. It's just going to block you from being able to apply for another credit card without turning it off.
Absolutely.
Or apply for another car loan, or apply for whatever it is. So I recommend that to everyone, honestly. If you don't have constant credit monitoring, or you're not looking at this constantly, then it is something that I recommend everyone do, is contact the three major bureaus and freeze your credit, or look into credit freezing, like a subscription that you can pay for. So it's as easy as a button click of like freeze them all, unfreeze them all.
Yeah, that's nice. That's an interesting tactic. I didn't know about that one. That's good.
Yep. The next thing I would do is I personally would report fraudulent activity. So since your parents opened credit cards, plural, in your name without your consent, that, my friend, is identity theft, and it's a felony.
Yeah.
So honestly, ball is in your court. You could easily have them arrested or have a lien put on their property and collect that money back. Now, I'm not going to say if that's right or wrong for you and your parents, but based off your letter and your parents saying either you declare bankruptcy or you get kicked out of the house, like these parents need to get what's coming to them. Like they got to learn.
Maybe you give them an ultimatum now. Like, how about this? How about you pay me $30,000 and I don't send you to prison? How about that?
Yep. Because you can actually report this with the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, and report it to local law enforcement. So you're going to have multiple people breathing down their neck, because this is illegal. It's not only credit card fraud, it's also identity theft.
Yeah. And I don't know if they realized that. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Nonetheless,
I'm sure they were thinking, maybe my guess is parents like this are probably like, you're my property.
Yeah.
Like, we could do it.
We can do whatever we want.
Yep.
That's so sad. So you got, on one hand, you have a kid who's trying to better their life and go to college. On the other hand, just scum. Just scum.
Yeah. Just scum.
Just scum. I don't want to be rude, but that's scummy. Like, how can you like raise this beautiful little child, right? And you're like, I got you. I'm gonna feed you. I'm gonna take care of you. 18 comes around, you go to college, and be like, cool. I'm gonna put you in $15K of credit card debt. You're gonna. I gotta get some reimbursement back. Those diapers were expensive, man. It's like, no, that's what kind of sick people do this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not coming home for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, imagine how awkward of a Christmas that'll be. Is you're sitting there, and you're like, here's your gift. You're like, did you buy this with my credit cards that you opened in my name that I didn't know about?
Oh man, that's really funny.
That'd be awful.
That's what she's in. That's the predicament she's in.
So, I mean, it's going to be her choice. Does she want to report her parents to the police? That's what I would do. But let's say she decides not to. Maybe she decides, I just want to communicate clearly with my parents, even though it sounds like they don't want to communicate. While it may be challenging, you probably want to have open and honest conversations with your parents about the seriousness of the actions and the implications and impacts that their actions have had on your future or potentially can have on their future. Because they really need to understand the gravity of what they've done in order for all of you to find a solution. Because
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, maybe to your point, Dom, maybe they just don't know. Maybe they're really that daft. Maybe they just think, oh, it's just credit card debt. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You just declare bankruptcy. I do it in Monopoly every time I play the game. It's easy, and I get to restart. And, you know, if you don't know, you don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to give them excuses. But if you decide to not go down I'm just going to sue you guys and report you to the police, then you're going to have communication. And ideally, at some point, you guys are going to move past this. Hopefully.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
maybe. One can hope.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're still your parents. Like, regardless of what they do, they're still your parents. You know, and they're going to have to overcome whatever it is. But I think open communication is better, or communication and like explaining the reasons why things is always better than just freaking the hell out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you can talk to them. The next thing I would do is I'd seek legal advice. Like, if your parents are not open to communicating, if they're not open to paying off the debt for you and stuff like that, I would seek legal advice, because you can go get a lawyer who specializes in identity theft and financial matters. And they might actually be able to provide you like personalized legal advice based off your state, where you are, and guide you through the process of resolving this issue, either with your parents' help or without their help. And that way, at least you know what information you're going to do, what it's going to mean if you report them to the police, what it's not going to mean, what it's going to mean for your credit score, for everything. And regardless of what happens, you're going to need to create a repayment plan. So even though it's not your responsibility that you put yourself, that this debt is on your thing, it is your responsibility to create a plan to repay that. Either that be your parents paying it by suing them, or you making a payment plan. Luckily, $15,000 is not that huge. I know it seems huge when you're 1 year in college and don't have a job. I'm sure it is. It's big. Don't get me wrong. It's big, but I know people who have made it out of $80,000, $100,000, $160,000 of credit card debt, you know, within a few years. So this is certainly something that's possible. You just have to create a plan, stick to the plan, execute the plan, get it done. When it comes to rebuilding your credit, I know you said it was a 720 before. It's just going to take time, but you can always rebuild your credit. You can always start somewhere. You know, I would definitely try to at least hit minimum payments on the cards. And then you're going to want to either do debt snowball or debt avalanche, figure out what's the smallest credit card balances. If they're all credit cards, they're probably all the same interest rates. So I'd probably just go with what's the smallest credit card balances and start paying those off. Don't do a shotgun approach, though, where you're trying to make a little bit of payments on all of them. Focus one credit card at a time, knock them off, knock them off, knock them off. Ideally, your parents are going to be helping with this. You don't have to focus on this. I think the most important thing, honestly, is like focus on the future. Like, yes, this is a setback. It's a huge setback, but don't lose sight on your goals.
Yeah.
Keep on pursuing your education. It sounds like you have an aspiration to be somewhere in the government. I don't know if that means a presidential run and we'll have the first female president in you. Hopefully it doesn't take that long if you're currently in college, because you have to be, 30 something to
34 or something like that. Yeah.
34. Yeah. You know, focus on your aspirations, focus on your college. Remember that this situation doesn't define you or your worth or your potential. You know, this is a mistake made by your parents. And while that might really, really suck and it's going to hold you back, and it may hold you back, there are ways out of this. You just have to stick to the path and keep it going. Keep listening to the Five Guys. We're here to support you. But yeah, I would seek legal advice. I would personally sue my parents.
Yeah.
Especially if they were these kind of parents who give me the ultimatum of
either
declare bankruptcy or get kicked out of the house. Like that shows me the kind of people they are right there.
Yeah. And I wonder, did they get it exclusively in her name, or did they get it in the cosign for it? That's what I'm wondering.
I'm sure it's in her name, because if they co-signed for it, then that bankruptcy would hurt them.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So I'm sure it's just all in her name, and they probably just forged her signatures. That's why it's identity theft, and that's why it's a felony.
Yeah. Interesting.
So sending you like really big hugs from Arizona. You got this. Open communication. Talk to or seek financial and legal advice. You already seek the financial advice. there's really nothing much that a financial advisor can do for you besides like coming up with a payment plan. But honestly, the best thing you can do is seek the legal advice, because that's what you're going to have to do. You have to really know the nuances of, do I sue my parents? Do I not sue my parents? If I don't sue my parents, what does it mean? If I do sue my parents, what does it mean? You need to know that, weigh the costs, weigh the benefits, and only you can come to that determination on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good luck. And we hope to hear from you again, maybe. Maybe there's a positive story on this.
Yeah, maybe in a year or so we'll be able to hear back from them. So,
alrighty.
Yeah, big hugs from Arizona, and you got this.
With that being said, we're going to get on to our win of the week, where we share our, just a positive note to end Friday's podcast. Where
yeah, because we just came off of a sad note.
Yeah, we usually do. Oh no! All right, Chris, you want to go with your win of the week first?
Sure. Yeah. Mine's okay compared to yours.
Yes.
So I just got back from a 5-day trip to St. Thomas, where we only spent $1,000, and we had to do a 90-minute timeshare presentation. But had we not done all of that, and for the 90-minute timeshare presentation, they also gave us $300. So they paid us, they paid us $300 to sit inside this 90-minute timeshare presentation, which ended up being like an hour, which ended up being like 100 minutes of timeshare presentation. So it was a little bit longer than what they said it was going to be, but whatever. We got out of it. While had we not done the timeshare thing and the $1,000 like prepaid it, it would have been $800 a night. So we saved like 80% discount on going to St. Thomas and like staying in the resort. We got this resort that was crazy. It had a kitchen and everything inside the room, 2 bedrooms, 3 beds, 2 bathrooms. Like, it was quite a villa with an ocean view.
Could you say how many bedrooms and what?
Yeah, there were 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 beds.
Yeah, that's literally my house. But you say 3 beds? Damn, that's bigger than my house. Dude, that's awesome. 800 a night.
Yep.
Did you have a fun time?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was a relaxing vacation. I mean, we just got back from Bora Bora in Japan and all this other stuff. So this vacation, the plan was me and my wife are going to go. We're going to wake up every day. We're going to go eat breakfast. We're going to walk down to the beach, which is like right outside. You walk down, you go down the elevator, you're there. And we're just going to sit on the beach and like chill all day. So nice. St. Thomas is cool. I mean, if I'm a West Coast boy, so if I had my choice between going to the Caribbean and going to Hawaii, I'm just going to go to Hawaii. It's way easier for me than to go all the way to the East Coast and then go down than it is for me to just go to Hawaii. And I gain 3 hours when I go to Hawaii versus losing 3 hours going that direction. So,
Dang.
That was my experience.
That sounds like a good win of the week. That's pretty good. So,
and we also signed up to do another one for next year.
Let's go. Let's go.
They offered us after we denied them for the timeshare. They're like, would you guys want to come back again next year for the same price or to another resort? So we'll probably go back to Hawaii. And you have to sit through another 90-minute presentation. And I was like, 90 minutes for an 80% discount on a vacation, and you guys give me $300?
It's pretty good. It's pretty solid. I mean,
if someone offered you $300 for 90 minutes of your time, would you do it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. 100%.
Then that's the way I look at it.
100%, honestly. Good Lord. Okay, so that's your win of the week. My win of the week is I recently started vlogging again and just like kind of documenting my day as I go about it. And I stopped vlogging actually when I moved to the new house. And I'm not really sure why. I think it was like a very personal time for me and I didn't want to share that much of my life out there. But now that I moved in and I'm more comfortable in the house, I wanted to start doing it again, and I recently did. And it was really nice because I posted it in my community, and they were so happy to see it come back. They were really happy to see it come back. And, it was really happy for me, too, because I was on YouTube. This was a couple weeks ago. And it's really, for those who don't post videos on YouTube, it's really bizarre because sometimes your videos will pop up again. And I was on YouTube. And on the main page, I was like, oh, that's my face. Like, I click a video. Why not? Let's see what this one is. And it was like a memory of like my dad and I, we were going through it's like this gambling town called Deadwood. And we got dressed up in these like cowboy outfits and went to the photographer and got photos taken. It was like such a great memory for me. And I was like, dang, like I could look at pictures, I could look at videos of this, but to see it edited like this, I'm like, it just was really special for me. So I decided to bring the vlog back just because I like seeing my memories all edited up and whatnot. So yes, I'm very excited to bring the vlog back, and I'm gonna keep her going. I'm gonna keep it going.
Cool.
I'm excited
And
though.
shout out to the people. Where can they find that?
They can find that on YouTube or on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, friggin' Twitter if you want. Just search up Dominic James vlog. That's pretty much how you can always search it up on YouTube. I would always recommend on YouTube. But yeah, on all the other platforms, my username handle is just hi, I'm Dominic James. So feel free to look it up. But yeah, that's my win of the week. My win of the
That's
week.
pretty cool.
I like it.
It's always funny whenever I'm on YouTube and I see our stuff, or like I see a short of me talking. I'm like, oh god, and I try to get away from it.
Get out of there.
Get away from that real fast. I don't want to see me.
You'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. But yeah, guys, I think that is it for today's podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are on YouTube, and if you aren't on YouTube and you're on a different platform, make sure to follow. Give us a rate or anything of
And a
that
comment.
variety. A comment. Yes, we do love the comments. We do love the comments.
We
Especially
read
the
them
hate
all.
comments. Yeah. Yep.
We read them all. We don't respond to all of them, but we read them all.
That's exactly it. But yeah, guys, don't forget the fee for the show. Chris, you want to tell them about it?
If you found any value today, please take out your credit card, go to thefieguys.com, and just send us your information. That's all we were going to really ask for. No, I'm joking, of course. If you found any value today, please tell a friend about the Fi Guys. Bring them along for this journey with you, because financial independence is a long journey, and going with a friend will allow you to go a lot farther than if you go alone.
Alrighty, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Later, guys. Peace.
Later.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor. It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.